There are other cultures, more Eastern cultures, where family units stay together. So the grandparents live in the same home as the grandchildren and their children. And so it continues. And I think there's something really beautiful about that.
In America, it's oftentimes logistically pretty difficult to pull off. And so we've kind of tried to create this middle ground where oftentimes our communities, because they're small and intimate, it's a very home-like feeling. And then the families get to come in and spend quality time with their loved one. And oftentimes they're there all day, every day.
Whether you're looking for inspiration, guidance, or simply a moment of reflection, you're in the right place. This is Wisdom Stripes. Hello and welcome to Wisdom Stripes. My name is Meg Tuohey, and in today's episode, we're diving into the world of elder care, purpose-driven service, and the profound life lessons that come from supporting others through their most vulnerable moments. Our guest today is Parker Patterson, entrepreneur, caregiver, and co-owner of Silverleaf Elder Care, where he and his wife, Catherine, serve seniors through home care, memory care, and assisted living. With a powerful personal story, Parker grew up in a family of 12 children, 9 of whom were adopted, 7 with severe special needs. This upbringing shaped his lifelong commitment to care, compassion, and living each day with intention. Parker brings a unique perspective shaped by both personal and professional experiences, one that emphasizes the fleeting nature of time and the importance of making the most of every single day. His work is more than a business. It's a mission grounded in empathy, dignity, and human connection. To share his insights on caregiving, entrepreneurship, and the wisdom that comes from serving others, I'm honored to welcome Parker Patterson to today's episode. This is Wisdom Stripes, your no-nonsense, fierce fairy godparents turning pain and confusion into clarity and confidence. Parker, we always start with the same question for our guests. What wisdom would you like a listener to come away with today?
Well, thanks for having me, Meg. I really appreciate it. And to answer your question, so the wisdom I would like people to take away from this is just taking every day for what it's worth. And that's something that we're consistently reminded of in the line of business that we're in. It's how precious each and every day is. So just making the most of it.
Yeah, I can't wait to do this conversation with you. My beautiful brain has lots of things it wants to ask you, but I feel called to go back in time. So one of 12 children, 7 with special needs, many who were adopted, was a number that I think was 9, but perhaps it was different. Tell us about that journey and tell us about what and how that shaped you.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack there, but I'll kind of start from the beginning. So my parents, amazing people, they have done a wonderful job of just being selfless individuals. They didn't really have any plans to adopt kids starting out. That was never like the kind of go-to that they thought they were ever going to do. Growing up, I was the first biological kid. I've got 2 other biological siblings. I've got a sister who's 2 years younger than me and a brother who's 4 years younger than me. And then we grew up just pretty traditional middle-class American family. And God put it on my parents' heart to start thinking about adopting. And it was actually my sister who, my parents were done having kids and she wanted a sister. And my parents said, well, we're done having kids. It's not going to happen the traditional route. And kind of started this thought process of, what could this potentially look like? And to make a long story short, there was a young lady who came into my parents' life that was in Colombia in South America. My little sister, Mary Beth is her name, and she was the first adopted kid. So I was 11 years old at the time. It was probably about a 2 or 3 year long process of going through that first adoption. And we all agreed to it. We all said yes to it and kind of started that process. And then fast forward a little bit, we actually spent 6 weeks in Colombia for that adoption process. I was probably 12 or 13 years old at the time. And it was an eye-opening experience. I mean, it was one of the first times I'd traveled, at least internationally, got to see a different culture, got to get immersed into something totally new. And it was incredible. Everything about it was wonderful. So Mary Beth comes home, we come back to America, and I thought that we were done. I was like, all right, cool. We got this new sister. This is great. This is interesting, but wonderful. And had no idea what it would evolve to from there. And my parents kept saying yes, and we all kept saying yes as a family. And it really just kind of continued. It wasn't like there was a set plan of we're going to have 12 kids. It was just these opportunities of people who came into my parents' life and came into our family's life, and just continued to say yes in opportunities that we could help out in, and evolved to ended up adopting 9 kids, 9 kids, 7 of them have severe special needs and from all over the world. So it's shaped every aspect of my life from really just, I had no idea at the time, being a caregiver myself, taking care of my siblings, that would have anything to do with shaping my career today, but it's absolutely connected. And I'm very grateful for that. It's given me a lot of empathy and just seeing things from a different perspective, and having a lot of appreciation and gratitude for the opportunities that we have. And then just trying to have a servant's heart whenever I can, and understanding that, we all have different gifts and talents, and making the most of what we've been given, and trying to serve others. And so that's kind of in a nutshell how things have evolved.
It's a beautiful story. I wonder, the youngest adopted sibling of yours, how old are they now?
Yeah, so there's a pretty wide range. So I'm 28 years old. I have a sister who is 32 years old. She's adopted from Haiti. She has special needs, and she lives in a group home here in Austin. So she would be the oldest, and the youngest is my sister Ruby. She is adopted from Trinidad, and is of Indian descent. And she is, I believe, 11 years old now. So pretty wide range, so 11 to 32.
I wonder about your parents. What age are they in now? Are they in their 50s, their 60s, their 70s?
Early 50s. Yeah.
Early 50s.
Yep.
And they're raising an 11-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
That's not uncommon these days. It's not an uncommon age gap. How are they feeling raising their last child?
Well, I think they're definitely up for the challenge. They're both very energetic, positive, upbeat people. And I think that, nobody really had this plan mapped out per se, but they seem to be very happy and excited about what they're doing. So
I actually meant it from a different angle. I'm glad they're happy. I meant, are they nostalgic? Or are they thinking perhaps there's another one on the way? I know that as my children get older, I am nostalgic for the years and the fact that it's possibly the last time I've had that experience. So I was just wondering, when they've had so many children, I just wonder if they're a bit like, is this the last time we're ever going to have a 6th grader, for example?
maybe so. I think there might be a little bit of that. I'd love to have a conversation with them and kind of dive deeper on that exact question and find out how they feel about that. But I would venture to guess that there's a little bit of nostalgia there.
Yeah. Do you think there's likely to be any more siblings?
Probably not. Never say never.
But you can feel that it's complete
I believe
as
so.
a family.
Yes.
Fascinating. Okay, so a lot of experience in those spaces. How has that shaped your career choice? So you're in aged care facilities and quite specialized aged care too. I remember a memory unit as being one of them. That's quite a technical and well-needed type of care. Talk to us about what it's like to be an older person in America.
Yeah. So unfortunately, there's a lot of room for improvement in that industry. And that's initially what really drew me to this, is that kind of make a long story somewhat short. So I was selling insurance, doing something totally different prior to getting into the senior living industry. My father's actually got an insurance agency, and I had joined the family business and thought that was the route that I was going to go down, and started learning about this issue that is very common in America, is that people get to the end of life and then only have a few options of what they can do, and aren't really getting the best experience across the board. There's, just lots of room for improvement. Things could be better in the quality of care, from really just the entire outlook of it. And so started doing some research on it, learning about the demographic issues behind it and how America is underbuilt for senior living. And then really, they're not really taking it the seniors' perspective in this when they're building out these facilities and designing the entire senior living industry. It's really about, like, the majority of it, you see these big box facilities with hundreds of beds, and it's almost treated more like a hotel style approach. What we do is totally different. So it's boutique style. They're small, intimate communities that are usually 16 residents or smaller. And so we've taken kind of a radically different approach, because at the end of the day, all that really matters is taking excellent care of the people that we're entrusted with. And so by shrinking those numbers down and focusing on that personalized approach, we've really unlocked this kind of niche in the market that we're found is very needed. And we focus on the memory care aspect of that. And so on the assisted living side, memory care side, and home care side, we do specific memory care training across the board. And we found that there's, just typically some level of cognitive deficit in the aging community. And by being prepared for that and having our caregivers specifically trained for those instances, it's really brought a better quality of life for everybody. And tying that in with my upbringing, just taking care of, I've got 4 siblings with Down syndrome, and then 3 others with pretty severe special needs, and each one is unique. And that's the exact thing that's translated over to taking care of the elderly, is that every person is unique, and there's not one case that is the exact same as another. And so really being able to personalize things and custom tailor them to everyone's individual wants and needs. I learned that and the importance of that growing up, and we've translated that into our business, and it's been a big success.
One of the things that's on my mind I'd love to talk about is there are other cultures, more Eastern cultures, where family units stay together. So the grandparents live in the same home as the grandchildren and their children. And there's like this circle of life. The grandparents do some caring for the grandchildren while they're able. And then when the time comes, the family takes care of the elder. And so it continues. And I think there's something really beautiful about that. That is something that is quite uncommon in Western countries. And perhaps there's an encouragement from an Australian perspective for elderly to stay in their own homes as long as possible. So at-home services are made more available to take the pressure off assisted care facilities. But the culture there is not that you would move back in with your adult children. It's uncommon. I wonder what you think about that, what your philosophy is in that space. I know the reality is likely that it's not happening, which is why you create the service that you have. But what do you think about the philosophy?
Yeah, so I have a ton of respect for the cultures that do the multiple generations under one roof. I think there's a lot of, obviously, a servant heart behind that. I think that's a beautiful thing. In America, it's oftentimes logistically pretty difficult to pull off. And so we've kind of tried to create this middle ground where oftentimes our communities, because they're small and intimate, it's a very home-like feeling. We try to facilitate it where we're taking care of all the hard stuff. So all the stuff that's not fun, we get to do. And then the families get to come in and spend quality time with their loved one. And oftentimes they're there all day, every day. We've seen this kind of unique phenomenon where the families that choose to put their loved ones with us live within a close proximity to the facilities. And so it's not a situation where they're just dropping them off and they see them, at the holidays and don't have a lot of interaction. Oftentimes there's family members in there 5, 6, 7 days a week for 8 hours a day. And so they're still getting to spend that quality time with their loved one, but then taking away the stress of, did they take their medicine? Did they go to the restroom on time? Are their quarters cleaned? All the things that are not necessarily fun from a caregiving perspective, we get to take that burden off of their plate and then let them spend the quality time and enjoy those final moments with their loved one. So I think that we're very blessed to be in that opportunity, to have that opportunity to serve those folks. And then kind of second part of that is the home care side of things, which is allowing people to live independently in their homes as long as possible. We launched that after the assisted living and memory care. So the brick and mortar side of our business, we're capped at a capacity. We can only have so many people. And we were just listening to feedback from the people we're working with. A lot of them would prefer to stay at home as long as possible, but there's just not always a lot of great options for that. It can be, hit or miss on the quality of care, the consistency of it, not maybe having the proper training. And so we really saw a big need to open up that side of our business as well. And so we did. So we opened up the home care side of our business. We're actually in the process of launching that right now. And one of the cool things that's unique about that is that we're going to be able to take the caregiver that let's say somebody wants to live at home as long as possible. We want to be able to facilitate that and help that be the case for them. But inevitably, if it gets to a point where it's not safe for them to stay at home, or 24/7 care privately doesn't make sense, what we can do is that relationship that they've built with our caregiver can follow them to one of our communities when that becomes appropriate. So instead of having to come into a community and not know anyone, have all new faces, and have this big disruption in their life, they've got somebody who might have been with them at their home for 2 or 3 years that they trust, that they built the relationship with, that can come in to our facility and move with them and say, okay, we're going to teach everybody in this building everything that you like, be a friend for you, be a companion for you, and help this transition be as smooth as possible. So that's something that we're doing to just try to create the best quality of life that we can for our residents.
It sounds a little like you're extending a family system because you've built a system. The values are akin, at least what I'm hearing, to the level of care that a family would give. There's that sense of being ushered through the stages, but without the burden on the individual family members to be all things to all people. Because often what happens is the carers are people who still have dependents or children or still working and trying to juggle all the other things as well as take care. So you've taken out some of the labor, but you haven't just taken out the labor, you've added in that level of respect and care. And that feels really special.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, we're very blessed to be in this opportunity. It's very fulfilling to be able to hear those conversations with the families and see the gratitude when they say, oh, we've gotten our lives back. We've been going through this for 3 or 4 or 5 years and gone to all these different facilities and unfortunately just haven't found a great fit where they can feel like they have peace of mind and their loved one is taken care of in a way that makes them proud. And so us being able to come in and really just kind of give their life back, and it's a very good feeling.
My understanding of the research in this space, and truly I don't have them word for word, but the gist of the research that I understand is in this space, so correct me if I'm wrong, is that once a person enters aged care, and particularly as you get into higher needs aged care spaces, the deterioration is rapid because they're out of their home environment, they're out of their normal experience of life. Do you notice any difference in your facilities in comparison to where this research is taken from, the general population?
Yeah, so we've experienced this in real time, just interacting with our residents and their families and seeing that every time there's a transition, whether somebody has to go to a rehab facility, every time that they move from home to another facility, which is the traditional model, typically kind of start from the beginning. If somebody were to go through the traditional senior living model, they'd be living at home until they go to independent living, and then they go from independent living to assisted living when they need a little bit more help. And then if they have the memory care aspect of things, then they might go to memory care. If they have some physical ailments going on, some medical stuff, they might have to go to skilled nursing. There's a lot of transition and a lot of change that happens. And it's really a detriment to the individual. The more turnover there is, the more new environments that they're exposed to, it's just nothing really positive that comes from it. And so in our facilities, they're small, they're boutique style, and we're very outside the box thinking. And so we use the term anti-cookie cutter. Nobody's the same. So what is unique about what we do is instead of people having to shuffle around and move as their needs progress, it's set up to be where they can age in place. And so as maybe their medical needs progress, their physical needs progress, we can bring in and facilitate these outside services that come to them versus them having to leave and go to a different facility and upset their normal rhythm. So it's been a really different experience in our communities. People are experience not just living longer, but having a quality of life for longer, because it doesn't really do any good to have somebody live longer if it's not with quality. However, if they're having a good time and they're able to have quality of life and have relationships with their family and are enjoying their time, then we want to prolong that as long as possible. And so by being able to have them stay comfortable in their environment, have the food catered to them, whatever they like to eat, we're going to feed them. It's not like we have just a set menu. And if you don't like eating Taco Tuesday, then too bad. That's not the case with us. Everything can be customized and tailored to them. And we just try to do the little stuff to, make them feel special and create a unique experience for them. And it seems to be working.
Sounds like they get to belong.
Absolutely. Yeah, the community aspect of it is huge. And that's kind of part of how we came up with this concept of this kind of in-between ground, because typically, your options are the big facility or staying at home. And there's drawbacks and positives to both. But one thing that's missed, so the big communities can be, even though there's opportunity for socialization and community, it's almost like going to a big college, and you get kind of thrown in with everybody. And if you don't know anyone, it might be really hard to make friends and establish a community and have the socialization that's important for everybody. And then at home, it can be the same thing. So you staying at home, if you don't have a community that you're a part of, it can be very isolating and very lonely. And so by this middle ground of having an appropriately sized community where they can build friendships, relationships, be a part of a community, but still get personalized individual care, it's really marrying the two together and creating the best experience that we can.
From a staffing perspective, I imagine you have staff that stay for long periods of time in order to create that continuity. I'm struck by the level of loss they must feel when a resident transitions to death.
Mm-hmm.
What sorts of things do you need to be thoughtful about from an organization perspective to support the people that love the clients / patients / friends that are the people that are using these facilities?
Yeah, that is by far the hardest part about this business. It is not fun at all. We all get very attached. And our caregivers specifically, that's their job. And so we do a couple of things to help support them in that. We have regular workshops where people will come in and do like a grieving workshop. We also do, all of our employees have access to a mental health coach. So it's like a 24/7 service that we provide. So they can access that at any given time if they're, dealing with a particular loss from a specific resident. And then we talk about it as a team. That's something that we're very much a family environment, and we take it very hard when that inevitably does happen. So being able to lean on each other and really the continuity of care helps with that too, because you're going through life with the same group of people. And so, the less turnover that we have as an organization, the better for everybody. It's a stronger community. Our caregivers are working with people they're familiar with. Our residents are working with people they're familiar with. And it just kind of helps bond everyone together when they're going through those hard times.
So let's talk then. I have two different directions I want to go in. I'm going to just pick one, but the other one's like, don't forget me. The thing that I am struck by is that in order to lead a community like that, you have to have very big-hearted, powerful leaders to be able to hold a soft, strong frame around this is who we are, this is how we do it. We're not cookie cutter, we are flexible, we are deeply caring, we are loyal, and we can do really hard things like end of life for people we love over and over and over and over again. Some might say that this is the coalface of God's work, like it is the type of work that is so sacred. Tell me about leadership in this capacity.
Yeah, so I certainly can't take the credit for it. My wife has been with me from the very beginning on this project, and the two of us together, I think, have helped to build the base of that leadership. Our roles have evolved and changed from the beginning to where they are now, but kind of marrying those two things together where, I had the vision to get into this business, but and then also had the background with the caregiving aspect of things. But my wife also brings really that motherly aspect to things, the feminine side of things, and really the soft touch that I can't bring. And those two things together are what really facilitate the environment, the community, the culture that we've built in our organization.
I feel like there's something that we're missing here, like about how hard it is to do this work. It's sacred, hard work, and hard is not a negative. But I do want to speak to maybe courage that it takes to do this well, because it's whole heart, it's all in.
Mm-hmm.
It's much easier to run an old model, churn and burn,
Mm-hmm.
than it is to show up, play full out, and say goodbye to people you've built relationships with over a long period of time. It's sacred work, it's very important work, but it's pretty powerful work. Can we speak to that?
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I think that for me personally, my upbringing had a lot to do with it as well. And I lost a little sister to open heart surgery when she was 4 years old. And that was really my first big experience with death. And it was, absolutely rattled me to my core. It was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. And then to consistently put myself in an environment, put our organization in an environment that is, a pretty consistent aspect of it, is definitely not easy. It's not fun, but I feel like obviously it's necessary. It's something that needs to be done,
Yeah.
and it takes a special person. I don't think that I was intrinsically created to become this special person. I don't think that I'm, better than anybody else or anything like that. However, the unique upbringing that I had has prepared me to have the empathy and have the strength and the courage to get into this business. I think that at the very beginning, everybody thought I was a little bit crazy. Like, why are you wanting to do this? You have a successful career path. Why don't you just do what makes sense and continue on with the family business? And that just seems nuts. Like, why do you want to take care of the elderly? That just seems kind of crazy. But
Yeah.
I definitely do feel a calling to do it. And I think that the things that I experienced were not an accident. I don't think that anything is an accident. I don't believe in coincidence. And if that has uniquely prepared me to be able to serve these amazing elderly folks that we get to work with, then who am I to say no to that? I think that it's an obligation. And I have to really do everything that I can on a daily basis to be a good leader and just to continue pushing on and serving these folks that we're honored to get to take care of.
I understand. I deeply resonate. It's not easy work, but it's your work. It's your job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're doing it. Very beautiful.
Thank you.
The other question I wanted to ask you is around your experience with death. Maybe I'll leave it as big as that, and then we'll see where we go.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see the circle of life and see how similar things are with me starting as a caregiver, taking care of my siblings who are, for the most part, younger than me, and the majority of them do have special needs, and seeing how taking care of children with special needs is very similar to taking care of the elderly at the end of their lives, and how we all kind of do this circle of life. And we come into the world with nothing, we come into the world naked, and we leave the world in the same way. And it's a beautiful thing, and it's a constant reminder. I think that's the biggest takeaway I've had, is that we see a number of different responses from the people that we get to care for. There's some people who are absolutely terrified of death. They do not want to die. They have regrets. They are just clenched up, tight. They are not peaceful in their passing. And that is honestly one of the scariest things that I've ever personally experienced. And that's why I'm so really vigilant with taking the most of every day, and making the most of every opportunity that we have, because I've seen what regret looks like at the end of life. I've also seen how beautiful it is when people live a full life that they're proud of, that they don't have regrets, that their family's there with them, that they've built relationships that matter, and seeing how peaceful those transitions are. When somebody has lived a life that they don't have regret, they're at peace with their soul, they're not afraid to die. That's that's really all we can hope for. And seeing their families come together, we have seen some unique experiences with we work with a lot of business owners. And so, like, for example, we've got a retired dentist who is in one of our communities, and he hasn't been a dentist in decades. And he still has staff who comes and visits him on a regular basis and touches base with him, and just comes in and says hello, on every couple of weeks or so. And that's really special. And I think that's a constant reminder for myself and for my wife and for my family of just how much all this really matters. And specifically, like this individual, he had a business, but that wasn't the focus of his life. His focus wasn't, let's just make as much money as possible, and just chase the entrepreneurial dream and have no real context to that. He's been a family man. His family's there all the time. His staff's there all the time. Who hasn't worked for him in decades. So he's built a legacy, and that's what I want to do, and that's what really seeing that. To answer your question about experience with death, and it's just a constant mirror of what we're all going to face. It's inevitable, and we can pretend like it's not going to happen, but it's going to happen, and we've got to do everything that we can to prepare ourselves for when we're at that stage. Did we live a life we're proud of? Did we live a life that we feel fulfilled with? Are we afraid of death? Do we have regrets or things we wish we would have gone back and done differently? And so that's really been my biggest takeaway from it.
Hey there, Meg Tuohey here with a quick and exciting announcement. As a psychologist, coach, and founder of the Wisdom Lab, I've had the privilege of helping thousands of individuals break free from the vicious cycles holding them back and tap into their infinite inner wisdom. If you're tired of feeling unheard, unseen, and stuck in the same old struggles, the Wisdom Lab is the breakthrough you've been yearning for. This on-demand program guides you through a powerful process to shatter emotional barriers, overcome deep-rooted blocks, and experience the profound transformation you deserve. In just 4 hours, you'll gain the tools and insights to revolutionize your life from the inside out. Want to learn more? Click or tap the link in the show notes for all the details. Okay, now back to the episode. Do you notice as people, actually, let me back up a step. Someone once said to me, when you birth a baby, you go to the veil or the door between two worlds in labor, and you pick up your baby and bring it in. And I know there's lots of ways to birth a baby, so lots of ways to get to the door. That's not my point. They say it's the same door with death. Your people that are with you in that room, hopefully someone is with you as you're crossing through that door on the way out, and you drop them off at the door and they continue on. I wonder, as you watch people walk to that door and cross through that door, if there's any patterns or consistencies that you see in the walking to the door experience.
Yeah, I think there's definitely consistencies with that. I think what I've noticed one of the biggest things that I have noticed about that would be there's really kind of two paths. The person who has regrets and is afraid and is not at peace with where they are, and then the people who are ready for the next transition. And I think that the people who are ready for the next transition, we kind of already are able to tell that they're going to handle it well when they get to that stage, because not everybody comes to us with, a very short time frame. Some people are with us for 3 or 4 years, and so they're starting at a little bit different place than somebody who might have 6 months or less to live. And I don't think it's a shock to us. The people who are ready, we knew that they were going to be ready, and they are typically very joyful people. And the people who pass peacefully are typically very happy people, joyous, grateful, kind. I think those traits definitely come to the forefront. And the people who have a really hard time are the exact opposite. They're usually negative, maybe paranoid, maybe frustrated. Some of those adjectives come to mind when I think of people who have a hard time at the end of life. And those are really the two paths that I've noticed with folks.
Mm. I've read a book around death doula, and which is, I think, the same idea as a prenatal or postnatal doula or birth doula, which is someone to walk beside you and to take care of you, that you can trust when you're in that vulnerable space. And one of the takeaways from the death doula is that there are really set signals as people are starting to transition. They stop eating, for example, and as they're getting closer to going through that door, they start to see loved ones appearing in their room, or they start to see a white light. Is that your experience? Is it different to that?
That's pretty accurate. I would say that in 95% of the cases, that tends to be the experience. We do have multiple death doulas that we work with as well. So oftentimes that is the case when people transition in our facilities. That's kind of how it goes. They've got a death doula by their side. And, we have no way to know exactly what they're experiencing, but I'd say it's pretty close to that.
Mm. There's something really poignant about the idea that when a baby is being born, the mother goes to retrieve the baby, or the parent goes to retrieve the baby. And when you're from that doorway, and when you're leaving, the other side of energy comes to retrieve and collect you. And there's that familiarity as you cross between the two worlds.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty beautiful.
It is, absolutely.
I wonder, when you consider your life and you're looking at where to from here, you're lovely and young, you've got lots and lots of time in front of you. I wonder if you can future pace where you might like or envision your life going. So when you're in your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, your 90s, your 100s, how do you see your life playing out?
Yeah, that's a big question. But I am very intentional about that. And with that said, I will say that I'm not opposed to pivoting. As things evolve, things change. We can't all follow the exact path that we have planned out for ourselves. But
Totally.
I would say I see myself kind of decade over decade trying to get better in every aspect of my life, take care of myself physically, get better in my relationships, be a better communicator, better spiritually, get a better relationship. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian. And so bettering my relationship with God, just continually improving. I don't think there's necessarily a big shift that I see changing from here. I love being in business. I love being an entrepreneur. This is the journey that we're on now, and I want to be the best that I can during that journey. But when and if that ever changes or shifts, I'll probably get into some other type of business because I love business as a whole. Might be ancillary to what we're doing now. It might be congruent to it. I don't know what that might look like, but I do love being in business. I love building teams. I love bringing together. I love just the collaborative effort of unique people who bring different strengths, different talents to the same table, and helping coordinate that and seeing how it's kind of like the mastermind effect when you get a group of people together and you're like, well, I didn't think of that, or I didn't see it from this perspective. And that really excites me. And I love that part of business. And so I would say just at some point I do want to start a family of my own with my wife. So I would love to have some kids. I grew up, obviously taking care of a lot of kids, so not in a huge rush as of right now. But in the next few years, I'd love to have some kids of our own, possibly adopt kids as well. I don't know exactly how that will look, but I'm definitely open to it. And I'd say just, continuing to be focused on the stuff that matters to me. And so for me, that's family, relationships. The money aspect of things and money aspect of being in business is never the focal point. It's really just kind of a tool or a necessary thing to operate in business, but that's not the focus. I think I've already gone through that stage of money is really not fulfilling at all. And real intrinsic value comes from providing value to others and serving others and caring for others and building relationships that matter and not doing things at the surface level. So I'd say decade over decade, that's how I see myself progressing, and just really want to leave the world a better place than I found it. Try to pour into those. I really like mentoring, and when other people come to me, and I've got a group of young boys that I work with that been able to talk about business with, and fitness and entrepreneurship and the things that excite me, and being able to share that with other people who are in different stages of their life, I really like. So I see that being a consistent trend as I grow and decade over decade as my life progresses. I think just getting better so that I can pour into other people would be one of the main focuses.
Meaning. That's what I hear, is a life of meaning. That's what is important.
Absolutely.
And that's consistent. I think we've already kind of covered, but that's consistent with end-of-life experiences that you see with your residents.
Absolutely.
Matters. Meaning matters. Okay. You know, we are all human. We're in a human meat suit, and we have human issues and problems and opportunities for growth relentlessly. We never get it done and we never get it right. We're always working on something. Curious minds would like to know what hard thing you're currently working on, and where are you at in terms of growing through to the next version of yourself that no longer has that problem?
Yeah. I love that question. So one of the things that we're doing right now is we are launching the home care side of our business. So that's a unique endeavor. It's a different set of logistics. It's very similar to what we're doing, but it's a different aspect because we're going to people's homes versus consolidating them to properties that we own. So that's had some unique challenges in and of itself. We're all really in this slingshot mode of growth with our company. We've got a big team growing. We've got some other buildings that are being built, and we're ready for some rapid expansion in our company. But we know how we got to where we are now is not how we're going to get to where we're going. And so for me, as a leader of the organization, being able to evolve and realize one of the biggest takeaways I've had is that I don't have all the answers. I am not the be-all, end-all of everything. And oftentimes, I'm the biggest issue and the bottleneck to growth. And so trying to get out of my own way and put the right people in the right seats and let their strengths and talents really shine the way that they were created to. And so I think there's kind of two parts to that. One is the personal evolution that I need to go through myself as stripping myself of ego, stripping myself of pride, trying to really just be a true vessel and let my role be to attract the right people to the organization and let their strengths and talents shine in the right seat. So that's been an exciting part, definitely challenging, but fun. And so that's kind of something that I'm going through right now.
All right. Well, here's what we really want. We like that. We're happy for you. We want the stuff that's really hard. We want the human stuff. What's the stuff where you're like, oh my gosh, I have to build this part of myself and it really sucks, or it's really hard, or it really hurts? Tell us about how you deal with the very human part of us, and what sorts of things you do to take care of yourself in those spaces, how you're able to navigate those painful parts.
Yeah. So for me, I think that something that I struggle with is the shiny object syndrome of wanting to chase everything. I get excited about all kinds of stuff, and I want to go down this rabbit hole and this rabbit hole. So for me, one of the biggest things that I need to get better at to take me from where I am now to where I want to go is consistency and staying with the path. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs specifically fall into this kind of roller coaster of emotions, and as soon as something gets stabilized and is running well, they get bored. They're like, I want to go do something else. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. However, for me, we've got a long-term vision that is not just an in and out thing with this business that we're doing. And so I've got to conquer the inconsistency of myself of like, I'm not feeling it today, or I'm really excited about possibly doing something else, and really centering that and focusing on the path that we're on, understanding that it's not a short-term path, it's a long-term path that we're on, and being consistent in that. And so there's a lot of aspects of it to it for me. A lot of it comes down to just showing up and doing the work on a daily basis, even when it's boring, even when it's not fun. But it's also very rewarding, and seeing the team grow has been a blast. But I would say that's one of the biggest things that I'm struggling with right now is just, okay, the team is doing well. Like, they're running operations without my direct involvement. And so it's a little bit, think boring is the right word, because it's not boring at all. We're just in this unique stage of our business where we're expanding and growing, but it kind of comes in these little hockey stick moments of growth. And the team's doing a great job without me. And so my role is evolving and changing, and figuring out what that looks like, is interesting. So just being centered as a person and being open to the right path and trying to take my ego out of things is probably the biggest thing that I'm struggling with.
I sort of see the analogy of trying to keep a boat or a ship on course, and the wind might be blowing this way, but actually you're really focused on going this way, but it feels so good to go over here. And what I think you're doing is intentionally and mindfully switching your sails. I think it's called tacking, but don't come for me, internet, if that is incorrect, so that you stay on track, even though maybe a part of you or a big part of you just would like to keep going where the wind's blowing. You've got to remember the bigger picture and the heart that you have for the outcome that you're looking for in a long-term process. And when we say it really fast, it doesn't sound that hard. But when you peel back the layers or you slice it thinner, it's very intentional, conscious focus, even when it would feel better to go over here for a minute. And so there's some discomfort and pain potentially attached to that. And not understanding that going down that way is not getting you to where you want to go, but yet it might feel nice for a minute. That can be quite distressing at times, I imagine.
Yeah, no, it definitely can. And I'm very grateful for my wife. She's just a phenomenal person. I'm so grateful to have her in my life, and we do every day together. And we've had different roles as this business has evolved, and currently it looks a little bit different than it did when we started. And our direct involvement in the business is a lot less as far as the operations go. But she's done a great job of helping me with this and recognizing that I do have that shiny object syndrome and want to get pulled in every different direction, and saying that, no, let's remember what we're doing. It's not about, necessarily how we feel about things. We're here to serve people, and the more people that we can serve, the better.
Yeah.
And so just continuing down that path and staying focused. But having a partner that supports that has been very, very helpful, and I'm extremely grateful for it.
Like a great crewmate on this yacht that we're now on.
Yep.
And she's just reminding us to change the tack, change the direction, head this way. And that kind of partnership is just so important in life, isn't it? Because we all have areas that are harder for us, and we all have things that are easier for us. And when you can have a partnership with someone, be it romantic or friendship or business or other, we get to have someone with a counterbalance. And if we can take their influence, then we can really accelerate our growth and lean into the parts of ourselves that are ready to be developed. Because there's nothing wrong with having shiny object syndrome unless it's getting in the way of your bigger picture legacy dreams. And then you want to build something new out, and having someone alongside you is a really helpful, beautiful strategy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. This has been such a great conversation, and I feel like we're naturally coming to the end. We're bringing this ship into port. Look at me with the sailing analogies. I'm not a sailor. Anyway, bringing the yacht into port. My curious last question is there anything that we've left on the table that maybe we need to talk about? Is there any last pieces of wisdom or advice that we feel like our listeners at home really, really are called to hear, and you and I have accidentally missed it?
I think kind of circling back to complete the thought that we started with is that, it sounds so cliche of, make the most of every single day, but, you're not promised tomorrow, and you hear it all the time, but when you really think about it, that's an absolute truth. And, if you're blessed enough to have somebody in your life that you care about, go tell them how much you care about them, show up, give them your time, do the things that really matter, and truly live your life like it's your last day, and do that every single day. And, just be very intentional with, I think we all just get caught up in the daily grind of we got to do this, 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 and we're busy, busy, busy. And we look up and a year's gone by or 2 years have gone by and you haven't talked to that person that you do care about or that family member or whoever it is. But, just coming back to, we're not promised tomorrow. We never know when our last day is going to be. So being very intentional about how we spend that time and letting those that we know that we care about know how much we care about them is so important. And I just urge everybody out there to reach out to those that they love and let them know.
I might do a postscript on this, a PS or an addendum, and see what you think. I feel like we don't prepare for death well either.
Mm-hmm.
We assume it's going to happen much later in life. We assume maybe it's not going to happen to us, which is so weird, right? But I think we do. And one of the things I think about a lot, and I assume I'm going to die a long way in the future, but I often think about getting my affairs in order so there's no burden on my family. Mm-hmm. So I think about downsizing and being responsible for sifting and sorting through my items. I think about making sure I have a will. I think about making sure that there is a way that my loved ones know my passwords and all of those kinds of things so that they can navigate the bureaucracy of death, which is a whole other thing you and I didn't cover. I wonder, from your perspective, would you add anything to this? Would you disagree? Would you edit me in any way?
Well, God bless you for doing that because most people do not.
Yeah.
And they leave their loved ones in just a even tougher circumstance than they're already going through with the grieving of losing the loved one.
Right.
So getting your affairs in order is very important. I would absolutely encourage everybody to get that stuff figured out now. It's kind of yes, there's some evolution to it, but if you've got a base where it's at least started,
right,
that's going to be a huge leg up because the last thing you want is for you to be gone and your loved ones have to go figure everything else out and make a tough circumstance even harder.
The thought of someone having to go through all of my accumulated items, that's just so much work.
Mm-hmm.
It is so much work for somebody, even at this age and stage of life. I feel like it is a responsible thing to do, to be thoughtful about the reality of that. That if I don't do it, I'm asking someone I love who will be in great distress
mm-hmm.
about my death to also do the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you see that?
Yes, we do. More oftentimes than not, unfortunately. Like you said, most people just maybe have some delusion around, it's never going to happen to me. I'm going to live forever. And then they get to a point where it's past the point where they can really prepare for things. And then it kind of just spirals. And the last thing you want to do is leave your family to have to go figure all that out. So being proactive and getting your affairs in order sooner rather than later is a great piece of advice for anybody.
So end-of-life hygiene, have a will, know your passwords and have them in a place where your people know where your passwords are. Make sure your loved ones know what your wishes are. Do not resuscitate, for example, medical power of attorney, for example. What is the name of know who your executor of the will is. Mm-hmm. Make sure your children know who those people are. Your medical decision maker of the family, should you lose capacity, who's going to have your power of attorney. Those are hygienic things to have in place no matter what your age. And have a plan around your assets, have a plan around your house, have a plan around your material items, mm-hmm. including your storage units.
Yep.
And don't leave your loved ones with the burden of having to clean out your attic metaphorically.
Yeah.
Because if you don't want to do it, why would you ask someone you love to do it when they've lost you?
Mm-hmm.
Agree or disagree?
100% agree. Absolutely.
All right. I don't know where that came from. Apparently I have big feelings, big plans for my end-of-life process because it is a truth. It is a fundamental truth. We all are going to die, and it is a responsible thing to walk through that process with thought. And it might be a scary thing, but perhaps you can do a little bit each month until over the course of 12 months you've built a plan. Mm-hmm. And if you've got a plan, then you don't have to touch it for years and years and years, but at least you know you've got a plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, last question. Any last things that you want to say? Because I might have just hijacked that.
No, no, I'm grateful for our time today.
Me too.
It's been a wonderful conversation. It's been lovely to meet you.
Yeah.
And no, I don't really have anything else to add.
It has been a wonderful time today. Thank you so much for being in here, Parker. I'd like to thank Parker Patterson for joining me today on Wisdom Stripes. In today's episode, we explored his journey from a life rooted in caregiving to building Silverleaf Elder Care with his wife, Catherine, the lessons he's learned from serving others, and how he's using his platform to inspire purposeful, compassionate living. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an update. You can follow Parker by searching at the Parker Patterson on Instagram and learn more about his work at www.silverleafeldercare.com. To stay connected with me, follow at Meg Tuohey Official on Instagram. Thank you for listening to another episode of Wisdom Stripes. I hope you gained a little wisdom today. My name is Meg Tuohey, and this is Wisdom Stripes. Thank you for listening to this episode of Wisdom Stripes. Follow me on @MegTuoheyOfficial and leave a comment and review. I'm looking forward to meeting you here next time on Wisdom Stripes.